Arsenal were kicking themselves for not winning and then end up winning. I mean, probably feeling very dejected, disappointed Saturday night, but by the end of Sunday, cock a hoop, because the title race takes another twist. It's mad, honestly. It's crazy. What an opportunity Arteta's got now.
NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
Hello and welcome to an extremely noisy Italian hotel for the Seeing Red Arsenal podcast. I, Tom Canton, your host. I'm joined this week, as always, by the chief football writer at the Mirror, Mr. John Cross. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. I'm missing all your Arsenal emblems and your Odegaard microphone stand. It doesn't feel like it, really. What can I show you? I was thinking, actually, maybe I could show you a little bit of an Arsenal. Look at that. I mean, if that's not memorabilia, what is? It's a beautiful, beautiful kit montage. So there's an Arsenal feel to my room, even if it's not immediately obvious. But there you go. So, yeah.
Oh, I thought I should bring some paint and just paint the wall red, basically.
Well, I mean, that's complete montage. That's a beautiful bit of memorabilia, and it was a beautiful thing from Nike, actually, basically celebrating 20 years of Nike kits. I am a kit and program nut, and basically I collect all sorts. I used to collect kits. They don't look so good on me these days, but that was a lovely, lovely, lovely thing there, and basically it celebrates all the Arsenal kits down the years, even that crazy blue lightning strike one. Do you remember that one? Oh, that was horrible. But,
there's some hit and misses. We've had some real. I mean, I hate the one from a couple of seasons ago that was like the yellow with the weird stripes across. That was awful.
Yes,
it was. Yes, and they peddled it as like this. It's the streets of Islington. I was like, well, the streets of Islington are a lot more nice than this kit, so you've done it a disservice.
I walk down the streets of Islington quite a lot because I was living in North London. I don't think
fluorescent yellow when I'm walking down there.
I've never seen that. No.
Very
completely with you.
Very strange. But yes, I'm here in Milan. John's back at home. You were at the Tottenham press conference yesterday, of course, as Thomas Frank goes through an absolute chaotic period for Spurs. I mean, I thought things couldn't get worse, but it turns out losing at West Ham is possible. Losing at home to West Ham is possible. So how he's still in the job, John, I have no idea. If you want to touch on that quickly before we jump into
let's do it. I mean, I was at the presser yesterday and I'm at the game tonight. I tell you, Tom, my theory is brutal. But I do think that how do you lose at West Ham? You play really badly and you feel negative energy and you're in a terrible slump, which has produced 1 win in 8 games. That's how you do it. Yeah. And then I think that basically my theory is why he's still in a job, because there was no one obvious to be interim on Sunday. It's as simple as that. I do feel as if just the vibe, so it's absolute fact, but my theory would be if there was someone immediately obvious. And Johnny Heitinga has just come into the club, so that's not, there. I would have thought that basically he might have been relieved of his duties. You simply cannot lose to West Ham at home and then basically go into that. I think I have to say, I mean, tonight, what a huge game. I'm at that game, and then obviously Burnley away Saturday. My feeling is that the change feels imminent, so it feels like they're going to make a plan. It would surprise me a lot if basically the Spurs still had Thomas Frank in charge when Arsenal go there next month, which, would
be very Arsenal, because Arsenal
are very Arsenal. Yeah, I did put this to Arteta earlier in the season. He just sort of produced a wry smile. Is it always a thing that Arsenal sort of kind of face a team that has just changed their manager? So, I'm sure every team feels like that, to be honest. But I think
there is something in it, though, of Arsenal. And I think the reason is because, obviously with Arsenal being as powerful and as strong as competitive as they are, clubs are quite happy to kind of give a manager a bit of a free hit. Like losing against Arsenal is no skin off your back. It's not a game that, in terms of points, you tend to get those points against the teams you're competing with. So it's easier for maybe a new manager to come in and play a team, get their ideas across, see what they've got to work with, get tested as strong as you can get tested and grow from there. So, There might be something in it, but from an Arsenal point of view, it's just, it's enjoyable to see how Spurs' plight continues to get worse. And it benefited my mother-in-law as a big West Ham fan, so she enjoyed a rare victory at the weekend, although they seem to be giving them out like sweets these days. It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's kind of crazy. But yes, don't worry, we're going to talk about Milan, we're going to talk about Ethan Nwaneri and the news that's breaking this morning about him, but we do need to react to the result from the weekend, because it was a mad weekend of results in the Premier League where none of the top three sides scored a single goal in any of the three games. Manchester United completely batter Manchester City and perform in one of the best displays we've seen so far from them this season, with Michael Carrick coming in, of course, as caretaker boss, at least for the interim. But if he carries on like that, it wouldn't shock me if he got the job on a permanent basis. But it's one game so far. And Aston Villa, of course, after Arsenal were drawn against Nottingham Forest, then missed out on the opportunity to close the gap to 4 points by losing at home to Everton. So, a mad weekend. And you look at Arsenal extending the gap by a point, but they could be 9 points clear, John.
Yeah, it could be. And then I have to say the sort of kind of, I don't know, the masochist in me is sort of kind of, bringing on the pain, basically thinks back, and they could be 11 points clear because, you should have won against Liverpool and you suddenly think, oh, gosh, are they going to blow it? I feel as if it's so worth remembering. And I know Arteta sort of kind of imposed this upon the players, that basically went into the festive period 2 points ahead. Finished it 6 points ahead. It's well worth remembering that. I think that at the weekend, did you really think that City would lose at United? I didn't personally. I could see maybe a sort of kind of worst case scenario for City would be a draw, but didn't see that performance coming. And that is a warning for Arsenal on Sunday, of course. But then also, I just didn't. Everton was so depleted themselves against the tired side. So you start the weekend 6 points ahead and finish it despite dropping 2 points, basically 7 points ahead. It's mad. Everything is falling Arsenal's way. I think, yes, you could have done it 9 points, but I still think that basically it's still a 3-result swing. And so basically Arsenal's still got to, still got that cushion of kind of 3 bad results, but City and Villa have to win those. What really struck me was, and I did the Villa-Everton game, was that I thought Villa looked so tired and jaded. That shouldn't take away anything from Everton, by the way. I thought they were terrific, really well set up, really well organised. Garner was great. Up front, they were sort of kind of dangerous on the break as well. What a terrific goal. And but I just felt as if Villa looked tired. McGinn goes off and they suffer. They're already without Onana, and they've got players missing, and it feels like it's a really difficult time for Villa. They've just said, man, what are they doing? And basically it's that felt like, ooh. And this week they're in Istanbul, in Europe, and then at Newcastle on Sunday. That's a test. That is a test of their reserves and what have you. City, I just feel, have been dropping points. The bigger thing for me in that equation is, when is Haaland going to hit the ground running again? Because he's been, he was amazing, and now he's just dropped off and looks, tired a bit and leggy a bit. And, which is obviously affecting all sorts. Arsenal were kicking themselves for not winning, and then end up winning. I mean, probably feeling very dejected, disappointed Saturday night. But by the end of Sunday, cock a hoop, because the title race takes another twist. It's mad, honestly. It's crazy. What an opportunity Arteta's got now.
Yeah, I mean, 7 points clear at this point. You look at that, and I think Liverpool at the same stage last season was 7 points clear, and they went on to win the title very comfortably. In the end, Arsenal and City just couldn't keep up. And the thing is about leading in a title race is that it's not obviously just about you and like your capacity to win games. It requires the teams that are chasing you to be near perfect in what they do. And City and Villa just look so far from perfect in what they're doing that it's giving Arsenal every opportunity to continue to go and win. But the game against Forest, again, was such a frustrating affair for the Gunners, because they were toothless when they attacked. They offered the lack of clinical finishing is a really prevalent problem this season. I mean, we could be talking about a potential Premier League title winner that has the lowest ever top scorer in Premier League history. That currently sits at 13. And Arsenal's current Premier League top goal scorer has got, I think, 5 or 6. And, that's more than halfway through the season now. And you're looking at that, you're going, in some ways, you're questioning how are they winning the league with that few amount of goals from a single player? But I guess it's because they're spreading it throughout the team at the same time.
Yeah,
it
is worth looking just quickly before we come on the strikers. My God, let's come on to the strikers. But
you might want
to. I do think I went through this yesterday, Tom. You'll know this, but it's worth refreshing other people that basically I did go through this exactly that. Liverpool, exact same stage, same number of games, 7 points clear of Arsenal in second, and get this, Nottingham Forest in third. Wow. So that, amazing, isn't it? We forget that.
It's like Nuno was a decent manager or something that they.
Amazing, absolutely amazing! What an achievement! And they looked nailed on, if you remember, for Champions League, and then just fell away and left it too late to kind of get a second win, really. But what an achievement still. But then Liverpool, in that time, I don't think Arsenal ever really closed the gap to. They had moments where they sort of kind of it brought it back, but maybe it played a bit more. But I don't know whether you agree, but in that last 16 games, Arsenal never looked like seriously closing the gap and then catching Liverpool, in my view. Yeah. I think that's fair. And then Arsenal did then lose ground completely at one stage. And then basically Liverpool was so far ahead, it became a little bit embarrassing. Liverpool ended up losing 3 games and then obviously drawing 3. But then basically then they won 10. Now, I think, and then Arsenal still finished 10 points behind. So actually Liverpool extended their gap despite not having an amazing second half of the season.
Yeah.
And I just think it's worth remembering, I was trying to work out, and then Liverpool won the league with 84 points, Arsenal 74. I did go, and this sounds so arrogant, and I don't want to come across as one of those arrogant people kind of on social media, which drive me mad, saying that Arsenal win every single game, and then basically no one's out there. Arsenal going to batter absolutely everybody, because I think that is the reason why some neutrals now have taken to hating Arsenal. So I'm not that person. I just feel, looking at it, Arsenal need to win 10 games. And that will, Arsenal will not lose many games this season because their defence is so good, their structure is so good. But I think if they were to win it, then you might see that little, relax and bosh, sort of thing. But I think Arsenal need to win. Now, 10 games out of 16 sounds quite daunting in a way.
I said feasible. I look at the games we've got left.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Because if you break it down, you've got to say who's come in. Arsenal played the majority of their away games already. I think they've got this amazing opportunity. And basically, I know I go on about that sense of nervousness in the stadium. And this is not me being critical. It's a real thing, isn't it? I mean, it really is a thing, and there's tension there, which I think is perfectly understandable because Arsenal haven't won it in 2020, in 22 years. So it's not a criticism, but it's a reality. And yet I think if I look back upon, the sort of the golden era when they were winning it, they were so confident and comfortable because they'd won it before. As soon as they get one in the bag, that sense of nervousness, I think, goes. This is an amazing opportunity for Arsenal and so doable. And yet I feel that they're making it hard for themselves. Why are they making it hard for themselves? Well, there's one simple reason: the striker. It's become farcical now. A bit embarrassing, I think.
So
I'm sorry.
So for context, yesterday when I arrived in Milan and I bump into Darmesh Sheth from Sky, and I'm on Sky this evening at 6 o'clock UK time on the outside the San Siro with Darmesh and James Ollie from ESPN, and he was like, "Did you watch Sunday Supplement?" I was like, "It's on my recordings. I still need to catch up on it." Yeah. He was no, genuinely, and I wasn't just being polite, but and he was like, "Oh, Crossie went in on Gyokeres." I was like, "Oh, okay." So, I mean, tell me, because I've heard that, the word mascot was used. So,
look, maybe a little bit bad about it. I'll give you the context on that one, but I love Darmesh. He's such a good guy, and basically, I think he's great fun and brilliant. One of my favourite people on TV, and he's great fun, and we do have a little bit of banter because he is completely convinced that Gyokeres will be a good success and score goals, and basically kind of get that. I think he said that basically Gyokeres is going to score 20 goals with that. But let's see, maybe he will. Yeah. And so I did. Yeah, I went on a bit of a rant. I mean, I just felt as if, on Saturday, I thought he did all right at Chelsea, to be fair to him. He scored and provided a fairly basic assist, and worked hard. But we've got to get past this working hard, occupying defenders thing. You honestly, £64 million. You want to be signing a player who does that, who is silky, who is holding the ball up, who is scoring goals, who does everything, basically. Because they did have that opportunity to sign a striker like that last summer. And then they've got Viktor Gyökeres, who for me looks clumsy, clunky. And the biggest thing of all, it's so obvious and plain, is that he is on a different technical level to all of his teammates. It's so obvious to me. He looks out of his depth and it looks beyond him. He is just, and the art of scouting, in my view, the art of recruiting, is being able to identify a striker that basically slots in and basically takes it up. Andrea Berta has championed Gyokeres and, put that forward. Clearly, Mikel Arteta obviously has to be on side with his signing, so he's watched a lot of him. But I think the knack is to know when a player goes from a different league and what quality he can bring, how he will settle in and whether it will work. I do think he was prolific for Sporting, and they took a lot of store and comfort from the fact that he scores goals in the Champions League, including hat-trick against City. But I have to say, I just think he's been an incredible disappointment. The point about the mascot was that I get it with the fans. The fans, I think, have been different class with him. Match-going fans have been so supportive, singing his name and basically really getting behind him. And I love it. I think he's brilliant, because other clubs might have been tempted to boo a bit, show a bit of frustration, annoyance. There's been players in the recent past where, Havertz quickly turned it around, but there was a bit of murmurings, wasn't there, and frustration when Havertz first arrived. There really was, wasn't there? And, but he's won them round, and now they have that wonderful song about him. It's great, but basically Gyokeres, from day one, they've backed him. And basically, I think it's terrific. I think also you can see that he does occupy defenders and opponents. And you can see that his teammates really like him. And basically, I like that, and are supporting him. And so basically, when Declan Rice spoke about him after Bournemouth, that was great to see. When there's been clips on social media of them celebrating, his rare goals. When was that? About September last year. But anyway, it's so I get that, but I just feel, and that's where I thought, you can't have someone who just makes the fans happy and the players sort of kind of speak well about him as if he's some sort of mascot for the team. It's just not working. So that's the context of that. It's just not there. It's not right. And it's ridiculous to keep on playing him, in my view. That either means to me that Gabriel Jesus, who obviously did the media yesterday, didn't he? Is not quite fit yet for a Premier League start. Hope he will in the Champions League. And Kai Havertz is taking his time to come back to full fitness for him to start. And it's just, honestly, it's so frustrating that Arsenal, in my view, at times are playing and trying to win games with 10 men. It's not on Saturday, when basically in the middle of the park, when the ball bounces awkward and the Forest defender misjudges it, misreads it, stumbles, and Gyokeres, has this opportunity. If that's Martinelli, he's through. Bang.
Yeah. And he's done it so many times as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's
that chance. Sitting in the stadium, I was watching it and when it happened, I was like, this is it. This is the moment where we see whether or not. I remember that analysis that Thierry Henry did after the Bilbao game, where he had that chance to kind of run down the left half space, and Henry basically said how the defenders have caught up to him in that position is not acceptable. Like, he has to be getting away from the defenders and getting a shot away comfortably. And in that situation, again, it's technical output. It's how he takes the touch, how he gets himself space to run, but not take the touch too far, so he gives the goalkeeper opportunity. And the fact that Murillo, who isn't slow, he's a quick defender, but the fact that he still manages to not only get back, but put in a great challenge to stop a clear shot on target that should have been a shot on target and a better chance at goal is just not all right. And I just can't help but think that, say, you're not even like Martinelli, but Kai Havertz, for instance, or Jesus' goal against Manchester United when Arsenal beat them at the Emirates, similar situation. Havertz's goal in pre-season, actually, against Athletic Club earlier this campaign, where he kind of runs down that space clear, finishes really, really well. And I was disappointed that Arteta didn't give Kai any minutes at all at Forest. Because I feel that there is a real need to start giving him 10, 15, pretty much every week, every game, to help bed him in. Because honestly, my biggest fear about Arsenal not winning the league this season is that they don't score enough goals between now and the end of the season, and Gyokeres is a huge part of that. So, yeah, look, I never want to say to judge a player completely at this point. I think that, my judgment will come at the end of the season about how he's performed, but based on what he's done so far, I've got big concerns. And I think you're right. There are a lot of people that support him. There are a lot of people that will call out myself and you for being as critical as we are, but we're just being objective about the situation.
That's right. I do think, I notice it, and I always look at sort of kind of feedback online and stuff. Don't always reply, but basically I do look at it. And I just think, and I know I sort of kind of being accused of being a bit negative on it, on him and what have you, and that's fine. But I love the way that the fans back him, and that's brilliant, and the teammates support him. But our job as journalists, just to reiterate, it is to have, to critique players and basically, be critically objective. And, when they're amazing, Declan Rice, I mean, for me, has just been absolutely phenomenal and has owned Premier League midfields this season. He's just fabulous. And basically, Saka, I love Saka, he's wonderful. But I just think, Raz produced, in my view, the best save I've seen this season against Brighton, and so I'm positive on many counts. I'm actually buying into sort of Odegaard. He didn't play very well at all on Saturday, but I think generally he's been really, I think at times this season, back towards his best. So it's great. But Gyokeres, I'm sorry, but we've got to face reality here. He's just a fish out of water. This is not the level that he should be playing at. I know it sounds crazy. For all these years, Tom, we used to say, didn't we? Oh, if you put that striker in, who was that striker who went from Leeds to Everton? Who was the out and out goal scorer who does a bit of TV now? Gosh, who is it? Basically, there was always a bit of talk. You put that striker in, he'll score a hatful of goals because he's a natural goal scorer. Yeah, put him into Arsenal and he'll lead that attack and stuff. And well, sorry, but that theory doesn't actually work, because you have to be a good player in your own right. And
Jermaine Beckford.
Yes. I mean, there was this ridiculous thing. I think Arsenal sort of went through a period of time where they were struggling for goals, and all of a sudden Jermaine Beckford, basically. Same for Shane Long. I think Arsenal were desperate for a striker, Shane Long. There's a bit of chat about Shane Long, who actually I did hear that they did look at, but obviously it didn't obviously happen.
Yeah,
just
Vardy
because he was quick and stuff, Vardy was the thing. Yeah. Wenger definitely wanted Vardy, and he thought, they had a deal in place, and basically he decided to stay put, and fair play to him. But it just shows you, I'm afraid to say, that I think Vardy would have scored goals, actually, because his longevity kind of willed out, didn't it? But basically, I'm afraid to say that that this theory that if you're a natural goal scorer, you'll score goals at any level just doesn't work. And no, crazy truth, I'm afraid.
No, it is true, because you need that technical level, you need the touch, you need the understanding of the game and your teammates' understanding of where you need to be, the runs that you make. But that cameo that Havertz made at Portsmouth when that first appearance he came back, it was the most revealing thing I think I've seen and to a lesser extent, Jesus when he came on against Bruges as well. I just watched those performances and I could just see Arsenal again, And it was like, see the movement of those players. They're not the most clinical. They frustrate the hell out of me with their own finishing as well. But technically, the footballers that they are just a level above. And Arsenal need to, and Arteta in particular needs to find a way. I think, yes, he talks about keep insisting with Gyokeres. And, yes, I think Gyokeres probably had his best game of the season against Chelsea because he scored and assisted. But I think I said the other day, I was quite blunt about it. I said, yes, it was his best game of the season. But if we're being very honest, he doesn't score that goal if Sanchez doesn't spill the ball. And the assist he gets was Zubimendi. Zubimendi's got to do a lot of work after he receives the ball. He does well in those situations, do what he does to be in that place. And I do empathise with him about the Saka not crossing the ball sooner and stuff like that. But his movement is not good enough. But, I'm already predicting the comments leaving the chat. They've spent 10 minutes on Gyokeres. Anyway, let's talk about the obviously Inter Milan's coming up, but before we talk about Inter, some news that's dropped today with it being the transfer market. Amazing, it's January. We're actually talking about transfers for the first time. It feels like this window. Ethan Nwaneri is in talks over a potential loan move to Marseille. Broken this morning with David Ornstein. I've stood this story up. It's still quite open at the moment. It's still not like a confirmed or guaranteed that he's going, but Marseille are definitely very keen. They put in proposals to sign him, and there is a potential that he might go. Arteta was asked about him previously, and let's just say that the answer that he gave when he was asked about Gabriel Jesus leaving was Jesus isn't going. When he was asked about Nwaneri leaving on loan by a friend of the show, Darmesh, it was every player has a role. Sometimes those roles change during the season. So very different, very telling how he answered those two questions differently, and it looks like Nwaneri could be going. So, John, your reaction to this story and any insights on your side too?
Yeah, I feel really sad about it, to be honest with you. I think that, I love... I often come at football from sort of kind of memories as a sort of a fan all those years ago. And, people always go, oh, you claim to be a fan of this and claim to be a fan of that. I don't claim to be. I used to be a fan. Now I'm a journalist, really. But... And I love nothing more as a fan to see a young player through the academy grow through, and I love to see the sort of kind of the young players come through at any club. And I've loved watching Nwaneri's progress. And I felt as if, like last season, I thought, oh, what a special player, what a special talent, and he can be brilliant, I think, but he definitely does need minutes. He had major options in the summer, didn't he? Chelsea were chasing, but the one really was Dortmund, who really wanted him, and he was convinced to stay. No, I don't believe any manager can give a guarantee about minutes and starting time and games and whatever. It's just not. Even if they did do it, which I don't believe Arteta ever would, I think it would be completely unrealistic and would just be fooling absolutely everybody, especially the player. But I just think the way that he has worked out this season with so few games, with so few opportunities. He did start Portsmouth. I personally thought he was excellent, really good. And basically, I'm a big fan, obviously. But I just think it's a bit sad. And I think that Arsenal, did sign Eze, didn't they, in the summer? And everyone, Eze is such a nice, sort of character and such a good story, and scored a hat-trick against Spurs. So he's kind of got life membership to the Arsenal Legends kind of club. But I just think it was obvious to me that Nwaneri was just not going to get minutes. And I just feel in his development time, and I know he's young and I know he's got to be patient, I just feel as if he must be looking at that and thought, whoa, And look, earlier in the month, Arsenal were quite adamant that basically, that he was going to stay put.
Yeah.
And clearly that's changed a little bit because he's not even make squads, Tom, match day squads, I think must be a killer for him, because I don't think he did with Forest at the weekend, did he? No. And so on.
Well, so he hasn't made the last 4 Premier League squads. Against Villa, he was out, Bournemouth out, Liverpool out, Forest out. He's not played any minutes in the Premier League since the 11th of November when he came on for a little cameo, a couple of minutes at the end of the game against Spurs. He's played 170 minutes of Premier League football this season. Wow. In the last round of the EFL Cup, he wasn't in the squad for the semi-final. He didn't come off the bench in the quarter-final against Crystal Palace, and he did start against Portsmouth, but was brought off after just under 70 minutes. So that's not enough minutes for an 18-year-old that is talent that he is, that needs to develop. It's just not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree with you. I do think you're at that, when you're at that age, you know, there is an argument, of course, that basically you stay within and you learn from the best and you learn from the manager. And many clubs do that. I mean, listen, when you're talking about the absolute 1%, the notion that, I don't know, a team would loan out, I don't know, a Jack Wilshere, a Jude Bellingham, a Wayne Rooney, it's just not happening, right? We're talking generational talents. But Nwaneri isn't in that bracket or hasn't been put in that bracket, but I personally don't think he's too far off. This is an England superstar of the future, in my view. But to get to that level, he's definitely got to, have opportunities and minutes, and everyone's pathway is different. And I feel that Marseille will be a really good opportunity for him. I think Arsenal might regret it as the fixtures pile on. But, it's hard to argue against that, because basically if he's not making Premier League squads when they have got a few injuries here and there, then basically, sorry, it's just not. And it breaks my heart, really. I don't like to see him go out. But I do think that he would be going to a good coach. I think he'd be going to a team that plays good football. Obviously, we're talking about De Zerbi, of course. And, and a really explosive club with character, with lots of atmosphere, and it will be a challenge for him and a sort of bit of an eye-opener for him. So I hope he would go there. Maybe it's worth sort of then on the back of that sending him out on a season-long loan next year if he's not going to get game time, because this is a player that Arsenal cannot afford to let slip through. I personally don't think, because I think he's great. Really like him.
Yeah, look, I remember when Jack Wilshere went on loan to Bolton. It's a completely different situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wilshere made like a handful of little appearances here and there in the season before he went on loan to Bolton. Nwaneri's made 51 appearances for Arsenal across all competitions. It's a completely. This is a generational talent at a stage where he needs to be playing. And so,
I totally agree. I mean, David Beckham went to Preston, and it was the making of him. Yeah, maybe I should have clarified that with Wilshere, but basically, I just feel
that's why I wanted to just.
No. It's a fair point. I just feel as if, Wilshere sort of kind of dominating Barcelona midfield, and that was the kind of the Bolton experience to give him sort of, how can I put this, man's football, if you like. You're right. Nwaneri's past that point. That was at a time when basically, it would be giving. He's played enough minutes now to be beyond that point, so he should be learning his craft, if you like, because he's kind of experienced it. And I just feel, it's for me, it's a bit disheartening, because I just feel as if there's a player in there that, I don't know, should be getting more minutes at Arsenal than he is. So it's a bit.
I agree.
A bit hard to say.
I thought like Forest at the weekend, Nwaneri would have been a great option to come on and have that potential factor, the bit of chaos to give Arsenal something different, and he wasn't there. And it's a shame. But the reality is that they've got Ødegaard, they've got Eze, they've got Marino, and now Havertz is back, who can also play as kind of an attacking midfielder if you want him to. So it's very difficult to see him getting those minutes. I think Marseille, in terms of Liga as well, it's not like Spain or Italy or other leagues that are perhaps a little bit more technical. Germany as well. Liga is a physical league. The French league is a physical league. He will gain a lot from that playing there and then moving back to the Premier League. So it's an interesting move. I don't know how I feel about him joining up with the likes of Aubameyang, etc., and what they might have to say about Mikel. But we'll see what happens, and I'm sure he'll get a load of benefit if it happens. And as I said before, the reality right now is it's quite open. There's no confirmation yet on whether it's happening, but certainly there are talks progressing about that potential reality.
Yeah, a curveball here. Is he with the squad?
Yes, he's here.
Yeah.
Well. He travelled yesterday with the team. We were told.
It's a big decision for a young player, isn't it? It's a big decision.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, and I think it's one, if I was him, I would take, because you're not playing. You need to play. So I think I'd take the loan, play for 6 months. If I was Arteta, I wouldn't let him go, because I think we need him. But if I'm the player, I absolutely would take it and think it's the right decision to make. I'm sure Arteta will be asked about it a little bit later on. Of course, all the reactions to that will be coming later on Football London, and of course in the Mirror as well.
Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption.
So So tonight's game against Inter, our flashback, of course, really easy one for me because I'm just going to hop back to 12 months to last season, and a very controversial, disappointing result really in San Siro. Arsenal, I think, in the whole is kind of similar in the way to how they played against Forest, because they had a potential, they had a lot of opportunities to attack, they didn't take the opportunities when they came, and there was a controversial penalty given to Inter Milan with Mikel Arteta with the handball. It's a decision that I think has left Arteta a bit frustrated after the game. There was also an arguable penalty that wasn't given to Arsenal, that was then given in later games that we saw examples of as well. So again, more frustration for Arteta. But I think it's one of those where Arsenal can see tonight kind of how far they've come. But I'll add the edge to that they started a pretty strong team in Milan last time. And I think with Man United at the weekend, I think we might see a quite heavily rotated Arsenal team, knowing that if they beat Kairat Almaty, they guarantee a top 2 spot. So this game is, in my opinion, if it was up to me, I'd rotate everyone. I love being here. Milan, great city, very privileged, very grateful to be here. I don't care about this game. I really don't think it is an important game for Arsenal in terms of the context of this week. That game against Man United is huge. They're sitting back, they're kicking up their heels, they're relaxing, they're resting ahead of the weekend. They don't have to do anything and they can just prepare Man United. But Arsenal have got to come here to the San Siro, play against a really difficult, industrious, physical team that are top of Serie A right now that need points, and they'll be well up for it. And I just don't think Arsenal need to take it and go gung-ho and risk potentially the result of the weekend when they've got, a home game against Kairat, with all due respect to them, who they should beat and finish top or second and get the benefits of that. But that's where I'm at. But have you got any parallels to previous seasons as well?
Well, I have actually. Well, I guess it. I do kind of agree with you. I think the one danger is to changing 11, for example, is that basically you can, as soon as you almost throw a game, you can kind of basically lose that intensity and that kind of focus sometimes. There's a great example, isn't it, a few years back when sort of kind of Villa did it in Europe and then basically completely lost their way for the rest of the season. So I do think you kind of sometimes got to get a balance. But I agree with you. The players that have kind of done so many minutes, and I'm thinking like, Rice, Saka, Odegaard looked leggy at the weekend, didn't he? Give him a break. No need. And basically it's I do think Inter are kind of very strong, and from that point of view, I do agree. A draw, in my view, would be a great result because you just need to win that game next week. Finish top, brilliant, fabulous, great. And then and I was going to do my flashback was November 2003, Arsenal winning 5-1, and from it feels like a different era. Henry scoring twice, and then basically Perez, Lundberg and Edu, I think. And so it's just, what a performance. And that was obviously, if you think about 2003, 2004, invincible season, Arsenal were just, in my view, quite clearly the best team. And obviously they proved it in the Premier League, but also the best team by some distance in Europe that year. And I do think Wenger's biggest frustration obviously was not winning the Champions League, got so close in 2006, but that team wasn't a patch on this team. And then basically, so sometimes you've got to get lucky and you also got to balance it. And there's definite parallels there that ultimately Arsenal just had so many games going on, so many games, things at play there. They kind of got into this nightmare scenario, didn't they, where they lose, I think, against Man United in the FA Cup, and then get knocked out eventually of Europe, when personally I think they should have, won it by Chelsea. I think Wayne Bridge got the winner at Highbury. I was there, and it was haunting, and I think it. And then they had this amazing game then on sort of kind of on the Good Friday against Liverpool, when basically it felt topsy-turvy game, and Arsenal were in danger of losing that game, and they looked nervous, and the nerves were shredded in the crowd, frankly. And that was one of the best individual performances I've ever seen from Thierry Henry, when basically drove that game to turn it round. But I do feel there's an underlying warning there. I feel that the way that Arsenal dominated in the Champions League, that they're right up there this season with the very best in Europe. And, you know, it's a hell of an achievement, and it's a hell of a thing for Arteta to have done this and built this team. But I do feel almost, and I know Arsenal would love the Champions League, but I think the Premier League is more important. And basically, I think the Premier League is difficult to fight on so many fronts. And basically, they're on the brink of the Carabao Cup final. They're still in the FA Cup. They got the Champions League and the Premier League. History tells you can't do it. You could just about win the quadruple, but you just can't do. You just about win the treble, I should say. But it's a once in a lifetime sort of kind of achievement. It's very difficult to do. You know, I just think I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to not a conscious decision, but a subconscious one of kind of either or. Because I think they'd struggle to win both. And I think for Arsenal at this stage, I think it would be far more important for them to win the Premier League. And I think they're well capable of doing that, and because they're playing fabulous football. But honestly, it's so. I covered so many games in that period of Arsenal in Europe. And I thought as if like they were so devastated after going out to Valencia. I think it was 2003 when, you know, I always remember Vieira let rip afterwards in the mix zone, where we speak one of the best interviews I've ever done. And basically, I was there with Dave Woods from the Star, and basically at the time, and wow, we just looked at each other and went, oh my God, you know, because he basically said this club's not got ambition, and basically we've got to do this and got to do that. And he was so angry and so upset because they were so determined to win the European Cup, and they should have done. And then basically, obviously, missed out in 2004. And then when they eventually get to the final, it was a mix and match team, a weird team. And basically, it just shows you that Europe has a certain degree of luck, and it's not always won by the best team. And I just think, Arsenal need to kind of keep that in mind. I think the Premier League,
Chelsea, mate.
Absolutely.
Chelsea have won 2 Champions Leagues. It's still.
I mean, the Premier League definitely defines the best team, I think. And I think the Champions League, not so much. And basically, I think Arsenal will always have regret of not winning the European Cup. But I think it's within their grasp under this manager, I do. But I think first and foremost, they've got to win the Premier League. I really do.
Yeah, no, I absolutely 100% agree with you. And if you offered me a chance of winning either of them, you know, there's no doubt in my mind it has to be the Premier League this season, because the idea of Arsenal not winning the league this season, it's just too painful to bear the idea of what on earth has happened. And I think that could potentially be more damaging to Arsenal, even if they were to win the Champions League this season. If they don't win the Premier League, well, that's just because for me, it's that burden. We've talked about it before. If Arsenal can lift this weight of expectation and just the anticipation of winning the Premier League, I think they could, you know, they feel like a coiled spring that I really think could go off in the seasons to come. And they could win multiple titles and multiple Champions Leagues potentially. But yeah, if the Arsenal don't win the league this season, I fear for it. I really, really do. I fear for what it means for the project. I fear for what it means for the players' mentality. I fear what it means for Arteta. I fear what it means for the noise around him and from the fan base as well. So I think winning the Premier League this season is a must. But a Champions League victory obviously would be a brilliant, brilliant thing. And there's no doubt in my mind that Arsenal have got the arsenal of weapons to be able to achieve that and equipped to be able to do it with the depth of the squad as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth remembering. I always get slightly irked when basically, you know, sometimes people paint Arsenal as the sort of the plucky underdogs in all of this. Well, I like to always remind people that basically 22 years is the longest they've gone post-war without winning the title. And basically, honestly, I did sort of kind of demonstrate it's right, but that shows the level of the club and the stature that Arsenal is. And basically, that to me says that Arsenal is a superpower in English football. And basically, you cannot go this long basically without winning. But equally, the demand and the expectation is so great then that basically to deliver that this season would be huge for Mikel Arteta to restore, you know, Arsenal as one of the great clubs of English football, of European football, back to the top of the tree in the Premier League. What an achievement that would be. It's within their grasp, and that, for me, that's all that matters this season, I think, for them.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Just before we wrap up, I realised that since our last recording, we haven't talked about Chelsea. We haven't talked about Arsenal making it into the second leg of the League Cup. So just before we do wrap up, we were both there. We did kind of touch on it a little bit with the Gyokeres chat and his goals, but I won't necessarily ask you about the game because it's it's a first leg. I think we both agree Arsenal probably should have won the game by more, and Chelsea
4-1.
Yeah, it was a 4-1, 3-1 game, no doubt about that at all. But now you've seen they've taken that lead. They go into the semi-final. How does that raise in your mind kind of how you're thinking about the League Cup? Because I felt like it did affect the Nottingham Forest performance somewhat, how they played so strong and how he selected such a strong team as well.
What, in terms of fatigue?
Yeah, because you're 2 games away now from lifting a trophy, which Arsenal needs to do. And the League Cup for me has always been a trophy that on its own, it doesn't stand too highly, but when combined with other trophies, I think elevates those achievements. So where is it ranking for you now Arsenal have got that first leg away win under their belt?
No, I still think it's really good, and I think it's a really important trophy. You know me, Tom, I basically really believe in silverware, basically, because I just think win a trophy, get it over the line. The buzz and the day out for the fans is special. I also think it gives you a winning mentality. Winning breeds winning, in my view. It's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's true. And basically, I think my frustration about that is they should be going in the second leg 4-1 up. And basically, then you don't have to work too hard in the second leg, maybe. But now it will be a really tough test. And I think the problem with that is then that basically if you did, end up losing that game or blowing it, that would be a real low. So there's still a danger there. But I think it's a brilliant opportunity for Arsenal, to also to be at Wembley, to go into that cup final, I think would be a great thing. Obviously, it would have a knock-on effect. You'd have to rearrange a Premier League game along the way. Yeah. But, so be it. I just think that's them's the breaks, basically. Try and go on all four fronts for as long as possible. Silverware so important in my mind, because we will keep writing. The only trophy that Arteta has won is the FA Cup in 2020. Well, it's a mark in time, So all the big managers have basically put a lot of faith in Jose Mourinho's first trophy in English football, League Cup. Bosh. Guardiola's tended to always go for it. Klopp the same.
Was it Pep's first, or did he win the Prem before the League Cup?
Oh,
I'll have a quick Google. Honours, Barcelona, Man City. Honours were Premier League 17-18, EFL Cup 17-18. Yeah, it was his first. It was his first cup that he won with Man City. Yeah. So it shows you it can be a catalyst. It can be a gateway to more success. Yeah. I feel as though I look at that tournament and Chelsea, and the irony is as well is there can be kind of a mental boost because the likelihood is they'll play Man City in the final. And if you can land that mental blow on your main title rivals in a final, I think it could be the game that seals Arsenal the Premier League, let alone the League Cup, just by winning that tournament. So it'll be a really interesting game if and when that comes. Obviously, we've got the second leg at the start of February at the Emirates. Of course, we'll talk more about the game as it closes down. But I'll finish today's show by asking for your prediction against Inter Milan and, of course, against Manchester United as well, which we haven't discussed. But we'll talk, of course, more about that game in next week's episode and in the aftermath of it. But I will ask you for 2 predictions.
I would be so happy if Arsenal could get a draw in Inter. So for once, my negativity, I honestly, Arsenal got to win on Sunday, haven't they? They've absolutely got to win, basically, because they're basically having dropped points now in 2 consecutive Premier League games.
Yes,
which I'd forgotten or knew, but just hadn't at the forefront of my mind. Is that's the first time this season, isn't it? So basically, Arsenal have got to win. And it's a long way around me saying, so basically, if you're a regular, Arsenal will lose, of course. So basically, if you're a regular, you know what I mean.
Thanks
but
for
anyway, but there you go. So, but what do you think, Tom, in 2 games?
I think we'll lose tonight, which is not usually what I predict, but I think they might lose. I think they might have their minds very much on the weekend, and I think Inter are obviously a lot more desperate for the points than Arsenal are, and I think we'll see some changes. But as I said before, if that means whatever, I don't care. If it means Arsenal United at the weekend. That's way more important to me. So I'll go a win against United and a defeat against Inter. But that's, if you offered that to me now, I'd 100% take it.
Yeah,
all day long. John, thank you for your time, mate, as always. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So,
No, I would. To be fair, I just think United is so much more important in my, for Arsenal's landscape. It really is. Villa have got a really hard game at the weekend. City, I think, have got Wolves, haven't they? So
the Wolves, I hope they're going to win that. Yeah, exactly.
You would think so.
I say they're going to win that, but yeah. Villa have got Newcastle away.
So after Istanbul in a week, wow.
Tough game for them. That could be like the game. It could be a weekend that officially rules Aston Villa out. If Arsenal were to win and go 10 points clear of Villa, you'd think that would rule them effectively out of the race. But for Man City, you think they're going to close that gap. I mean, the order of the games as well, City will be playing first. So that's not tended to be the best order for Arsenal when City play first, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Right, the drilling has really started here in Milan, so we're gonna round things off there. John, thank you for your time, mate. Tell people they can find you and what you're going to be up to this week and what you can look at.
Yeah, so I'm gonna. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm doing Tottenham Dortmund tonight, which I think is a huge game, and so looking forward to that. I'm going to have a look later in the week about the kind of Gyokeres Sesko dynamic, and how that could have panned out. So have a look out for that. I'm looking forward to that, writing that, because I've got a few bits and detail on that. So I look forward to that. And then obviously doing Arsenal Man United at the weekend.
Yes. Also,
and you?
Yes. Obviously, I'll have the match report from Inter tonight in tomorrow's edition of the Mirror. So make sure you go and check that out. And any reaction from Mikel Arteta about potentially Nwaneri to look forward to. But other than that, it'll be all steam ahead to that game against Manchester United this week. And that Sesko Gyokeres thing is, it's the derby. It's the flop striker derbies is what it is. We'll see.
I was so excited about that for the opening game of the season. It didn't quite work out because both had sort of just about got their sort of kind of feet under the table, and but I do, be interested anyway. Yeah, lots to think about. Be interested. Maybe Sesko won't play. He didn't start his first game.
Maybe.
Anyway, there you go.
Maybe. We'll see. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Appreciate your time. Drop a like on the video, of course. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts on anything myself and John have discussed in today's show down in the comment section down below. If you're listening on audio platforms, thank you. First of all, and do leave a 5-star review. It does help us out. Share the story around. Share the pod around. Tell people they can find it, which, of course, is in all your usual podcasting platforms. And, of course, here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Hype the video. And we'll see you next week when we're breaking down that big win, hopefully, over Manchester United. Not that I'm tempting fate, but stay safe, stay well, and of course, as always, keep seeing red.
NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.